Strange New Worlds is back, and we'll talk about it in just a second. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and the return for the first episode of Season 2 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds was not a disappointment at all. In fact, a number of very good performances happened during this episode. We're not going to go too much into the plot of things, but we do have a couple of things that catch up to where was left off in the last episode of last season. First of all, the problem with number one, who has been taken into custody by Starfleet in order to defend herself for having lied on her application to Starfleet. And predictably, Pike is going to come to her aid and try and go to his occasional girlfriend who was leading the prosecution on this to see if things can be fixed. So he is taken out of the story for the most part, and what that allows us to do is to focus on very specific characters. First of all, Spock is in temporary command of the Enterprise in space dock, and we have an opportunity then to see more of his conflict between his human half and his Vulcan half, which in this series is not quite as developed as we would see it later on. And also it focuses on Chapel and Mbenga, who can be pretty badass, honestly. There's a distress call. There's a problem that they need the Enterprise for. Admiral April is against it, tells Spock he can't go, and you know where it's going to lead from there. But how it does is rather interesting, and the role that Carol Kane plays as the engineer, she was just someone who taught at Starfleet Academy, and she was helping do some of the checks on the ship, and by the end of the episode wanted to be part of the crew. And her reasoning is quite good, and her portrayal of it is unique and wonderful. She is a no-nonsense engineer, but the chain of command, I'm not so certain that she's all that concerned about. And she helps them along in ways that you would not expect. Carol Kane plays the part just perfectly, I think. Also, very good performances from Ethan Peck, who is fighting between his Vulcan and his human side as Spock, and that's a very believable progression for the character at that point before he becomes the Spock that we know in the original series. We see Nurse Chapel and Dr. Mbenga doing things that we never would have expected of them, but it's not out of character for them. And this ability that they have and willingness to take a chance is very compelling. And then, of course, there is a plot by the Klingons that's uncovered, and there's all kinds of action going on. There's all kind of suspense going on. We have good performances from Uhura, who is now an ensign, and we have just some of the regular characters that are filled out better than they have before. These shows are not all going to be about Pike and number one. And we see these people are very dedicated to their jobs, and it shows that very, very certain. We also see two big things in this. There is a lot more feeling between Spock and Chapel than we even suspected before, and this is liable to go somewhere. It reminds me of a psychology experiment where you have someone walk across a rickety, dangerous rope bridge, and at the end there is a person of the opposite gender, and you tend to find that person much more attractive and much more feelings for that person just because your emotions have been stirred up. And this is something that Spock is dealing with. And he's concerned that he's going to have these emotions coming up are going to affect his ability to perform his duties. And Dr. Mbenga says, well, you'll just have to deal with it like the rest of us do. And Spock said, I prefer not. I thought it was a good line. Another good line, one of the best lines in it, is from Pelia, who wants to join the crew. She turns out to be a very long-lived species, and she said, "You know what? It's so bad to Spock. You know what's so bad about being someone this old?" And Spock says, "Losing people you love." And she said, "What a sweet Vulcan you are." No, it's boredom, and there seems to be a shortage of boredom on this ship. I want to be part of it. And so that's where that's going to go. She's going to be a most interesting character. So I love the episode. I think that it's a wonderful way of coming back, better than if they had started with the trial. I think that that's something that's going to happen, but it has happened so many times on Star Trek. I think that this made a much better entry episode. And of course, it's all settled at the end. There is the proper warnings and kind of an epilogue that puts a little twist on everything that's going on. So don't tune out too early if you have not seen the episode yet. But with all that said, I enjoyed it. I'm glad to have him back, and we'll be back in another week with episode 2 and the review on that. We also have retro reviews of Star Trek the Original Series and of Deep Space Nine. We just started the first 3 episodes, and we'll be doing more, so you can check those out as well. So until next, don't forget to subscribe and put a comment down below if there's anything you'd like to say to us. We read them all and answer most of them, so please do so. And if you've not subscribed and liked the channel, please do that as well. But until next time, don't go far.